just been working as hard as you possibly can to make a group project. Thanks, Albert. To make a group project and also to create some things on your own for yourselves. And the things that you come up with are fabulous. I need to tell you this right now. I alluded yesterday, I think, to the fact that I'll be quitting work. I'll be stopping work. I've already retired once, but I'll be stopping work on June the 5th. My bucket list was that I would quit working when I'm 65. My birthday is July 1st. Of course, that's over a holiday weekend, so I have to wait till the 5th to actually go to work and then leave work for the very last time. Wow. And I have to tell you right now, this has been the best project I have ever worked on. Wow. It has been. And I've been in education for 45 years, and I've done a lot of projects, but this was fun to put together. It was fun to work with Jeff with. We collaborated on every single thing, and that was fun. It's been fun working with all of you and watching what you're doing and seeing the excitement. When I walked upstairs this afternoon, when we first went up there, all of you were gathered around the computers. There was so much energy coming out of that group that it was amazing, just amazing. So I thank you for this being my very, very last project in education. It has been the best I have ever done. So thank you. I applaud you. So let's see what you did, okay? Who's first? We have 7 groups as far as I know. You want to go first? Okay.
Am I going with you?
Well, we're the same project, so I'm not sure how it's done. Yeah. Everybody just
No, that's what I mean. We're going together, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
We are. And Jeff is videoing these, and we'll post them up on the website. And clips of them will definitely be part of our multimedia.
Can I take a picture of your card? How much in materials did you use? Oh, awesome. And how much in materials? Oh, modeling. Ooh, love it. Word in. Sorry.
Are you guys fighting over who gets to keep that?
Deep in thought?
Just one sheet.
Just one sheet of what?
For, half-inch flat.
So what is that, like $20?
It took about 3/4 of a sheet because we've got more pieces.
Like, what was it?
Just $20.
Did you completely design out you guys yourselves, or did you?
So we're going to do this only with the condition that we retire with Barb. This is our last project ever together, guys. So let me just do the side note first. I was also working with the group. The group was like, it's also awesome working with like tech people who get Google. Because it's kind of like, oh yeah, we're going to start a project. It's all in a Google folder. Let's just go. And then suddenly it's like everyone's creating, and it's just like togetherness. You know, it's really awesome. It's also cool to learn about the process of failure, you know, as you kind of like go through it. We don't often look at our own failures, but how many different prototypes do you have to create before you get something right? Getting prototypes and what's in challenges along the way. So hopefully there'll be a group out there that can just take it and take it to another level and make it work right.
Pressure stuff.
From the Jeopardy theme song here.
Well, one thing with technology, you can always know something kind of go exactly. Try and look. This is our title page. There. Okay. Our groups all gathered. No. Why isn't this touchscreen? It should be touchscreen, right? Next donator. Our group gathered around the idea of 3D printers. I think most of us, we gathered with that group because we either had one or thought that was a particular piece of equipment that we could see in our future. So we went with that concept. And right off the bat, we decided that there were some key components that was to create, innovate, communicate, and teamwork. Dan, the next
It's still loading.
Okay, so here are our team members. Hard at work. He was taking the picture, so we look at it. As you can see, it was a pretty large group, which also was one of the things that we had to kind of work through was that there were a lot of great minds working in mine. A lot of great minds in mine. So we started brainstorming, oh, you can't see that at all. We thought of a badging system of some sort, like a name tag. We wanted to do something that we felt could.
All right, so the idea was to have a nameplate or a template, a game piece, like having you create your own game piece of some sort, like to do 3D printing at the beginning of the year. It turned into like being a nameplate, so it could be fun to like have your badge. When you come into class, you take it from the wall, you put it onto your desk, onto something, and then these little puzzle pieces is what tells you what they're certified in. So like creativity, innovation, communication, and teamwork. Like that's just like 4 subsets of like 21st century skills, right? So once the kids do something to gain these puzzle pieces throughout the week, so however long it takes, this would come off. So this would first be attached to it. So this is the top. This is the bottom. And then you would take this off, and then you would put a shape up here on that as you want to add more that you can do. So you can have 16 different kind of qualities that you would like the child to kind of go through.
So we talked like about if we had a lot of us are dual apps, so that maybe after they've gotten the initial 21st century learning kind of skills down and achieved all those, our next project they're going to show us that they know how to do, docs and sheets or whatever it is that you feel your kids need to know. They are a puzzle piece for that, for sheets. They are a puzzle piece, and so on. So we thought you could make the puzzle pieces in different colors for like whatever the different kind of units were, things like that. We had started out like thinking of the game pieces because we thought that would be something that they would be interested in doing, as well as fairly well. Yeah, this is one of the challenges. So fairly simple to do something like this to work through not only the use of the 3D printer but the rest of it.
Hey, Heather, there's kind of 2 different things that people are passing around right now. Just like we
All right.
way that we had envisioned, so
Right. found out that after like, during the print process that the text ended up too small on the bottom pieces. So that's why we kind of like made it larger. And also to fit with the top piece. The idea was to try to like how to connect it to the top. I don't think either one of those is like the final rendition for what you guys are going to see, but that's why there's two different sizes coming around.
So these were our 4 tenets that we started with for our rollout. Some of the discussions we had included focusing the students on processes of the 4 things that we wanted. We talked about name tags, badges, games, like we saw tic-tac-toe that we were kind of looking at, well, maybe that's possible, they can make their own game pieces. Then we had a discussion about what the badges indicate, how will they actually attach, we talked about making like little hooky things, that kind of thing, and then we landed on the actual puzzle piece.
Also, possibly using Velcro to attach it.
Which is old school. Then we came up with a team decision to create that. We assigned roles. Jen was our facilitator. Devin and I are the presenters, obviously. The designers were Sarah, Amy, and Wendy. And operators were Amanda and Beth. And then documentation of cameras was Devin and Jen. And I threw some in there too. So we quickly broke up the jobs. You can see the process. Putting the pieces together. So we're working hard with some of our, so we're having some trouble initially with the software that we needed. Then we're getting rolling here. We're getting almost to that point. We had decided on actual symbols. Initially, you can see this is one of the first stages where we have the actual names up here as well as a symbol. But as you can see from the prototype that's going around, it was too small. There she is, hard at work. 3D princess. And still smiling. Not so much. You can see that after that first run, when it was too small, you couldn't see the writing, that she went back in and expanded and ended up using something called a raft to separate them out so that they would print larger and actually you could see the symbols on them.
Yeah, the key term there was that the ways to make it rigid? What was that term? Is that called raft?
Yeah.
That's the raft.
Yeah.
So
it's what it builds on. Because so it actually stick in the pot.
okay.
I'm assuming that's what I
Yeah.
Yes.
To make sure the puzzle pieces can stick together.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
For you non-technology types, it's like a plate that are built on top of the plate.
It's pre-level, so the plate's not exactly level every time. What the raft does is it makes its own surface to build on, and plastic sticks better to itself than it does to the plate, so it just gives it extra backing and more support for the building. Takes a little bit longer, but usually it helps get a higher quality finish.
And it did. Here we are in action. This was the first one that you can see, you can't even tell what this says. I mean, you can obviously make out makerspace, the rest of it. And we also added a hole for a lanyard, because at that point we're thinking maybe flip on a lanyard. A lot of schools use those, the kids have to carry their ID and stuff on that.
Now, another part would we could darken it in, try to darken it in to see if it shows up, or we didn't try that. Yeah, we might want to.
So the challenge became crosswords were too small. The details didn't come through, so that's when the decision was made, less is more. So we'll just use the symbols instead of the words. And the pieces didn't easily join. So our facilitator Dremel experience, I was unaware of, busted out the Dremel and was able to sit it down, and so they fit. It's not perfect, obviously it's a prototype, but she got them to fit this morning. So here's a couple of the where it was and where we ended up. There it is. With the raft. There's the raft. You can see the raft underneath of the pieces. And kind of snap them apart, and that didn't come out really good. There's the final product. You can see.
So the idea of this is to start at the beginning of the school year. Maybe have the kids actually. You have some kind of templates, but so they can see what can be done with the 3D printer. And then, before you guys start designing other things, this is just a good tangible thing that you can have already ready for them to print out. So then it just gets them excited about what 3D printing can offer to them by them doing their own badging system.
And badging is really big. We use Schoology in my school district,
Yeah.
and the kids are very much into badging. Which baffles me, but they love it. If they're gonna go for it, they can go.
We're tech people too, so if there's a way we can tie this to the technology side, so the teacher can always know what they have, that could be another add-on component to what could be created here.
Any questions?
Could the team raise their hand, please, so we can see who all was involved?
I don't know if you talked about, but I remember listening in on you guys mention each of you talked about color coding the different puzzle pieces for easy recognition. I wasn't sure if you mentioned that to anybody, but I thought that was a good idea.
Yeah.
Great
Different
idea.
projects or
Thanks.
units or whatever. Yeah.
Anything else you want to tell us that you forgot? Because we forgot it. Just go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's just I think it's really good as far as the design, pulling stuff offline like that, you can be a little bit rough, but and as you saw with the pieces fitting together, but with a little bit of tweaking, you can change the pieces, and them being round like that, they probably wouldn't stick too well anyway. So you might want a little like a T-shape, more like a traditional puzzle piece, to help things stick together. But no, it was really, I really like the idea. Had a lot, you guys hit a lot of good things. And, great.
And thanks to the helpers that are working, because whenever we needed them, they were there to help guide us through conversations. Thank you.
Who wants to go next, okay? Guys, and then you. Oh, you're all together? Oh, okay. Go ahead and get yourself set up.
Well, we're gonna pass that around, so if you wanna start the process.
I thought it was just great.
No, it's okay. They were.
What are these pieces for?
It was to help it stand up more upright, but you don't have to put it in there. I think it's okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Like it's fine.
Okay. So we did, according to the laser cutter, how it started out, signage. We decided we wanted to LED on.
Could I ask you to use your teacher voice?
Oh, I thought I was. Okay, so we all knew we wanted to do signage. That was where we started off, and then we knew we wanted to learn more about the Corel Draw, which is the program for the laser cutter and laser cutter. So that's kind of where we all started off. And then Kelly actually had the idea before we even got here. She had looked up and kind of seen this LED display whiteboard thing. I'll show you a video of what she saw, and then we'll show you where we kind of ended up. This is what she kind of had as inspiration. All of us kind of agreed.
I was Pinterest searching the night before makerspace projects. See what came up.
So you can actually write on them. That was like a chalk marker.
Yeah. And that would plug into like USB in your computer. You plug into a outlet or battery operated.
Did you get that far?
Yeah.
Oh.
We'll show you how far we got.
Okay.
We got pretty far. We actually it made some
Despite shipping at Amazon, you could have gotten that far, but didn't have that much time. Excuse me. So we wanted to not only write on it with chalk marker and be able to change the message, but we also thought it'd be kind of cool if we had something etched in there, and it gives us another opportunity to try our hand at the laser cutter. We learned
things the hard way. So I'm glad we did that. Good learning experience. So, for instance, I put like Go Bees and the logo on the top, and you can see the first rendition. We thought it wasn't hairline, but surprise, it was. You're like, undo, undo. But anyways, so we ended up redoing, and we also wanted to scale it up to a bigger size, and we were able to get a base that we had enlarged, but it was going to take like 3 hours to print one. So 7 hours to print one. So we decided to scale it back down in the second rendition. But it was really, really good to see how the etching works, which is what we wanted one of the goals of doing this.
So the 3D print, that was kind of easy because we actually went to Thingiverse. If you guys haven't heard of that, write that down. That's great for 3D printing. It's got people put up the books already there. So we were able just to download that straight to that site. And like Kelly said, we with the help of some people got it larger. So they would fit the bigger boards because we wanted the bigger. We thought we liked bigger boards better to write. However, we realized that print was time is too long, so we just went with the original design. So some of the problems in the redesign, so as I said, the first thing we did was we took the original design and actually made it bigger. So we didn't start with the small one. We actually took that idea of how we wanted it bigger. Made it bigger, we got it to work, and then decided to get bigger. The other thing would be just the laser cutting and so the etching that needs to be anything up above hair line and the cutting needs hair line. I already knew this. I actually have a 3D. I actually have a laser cutter in my classroom. I already knew this, and it's one of those things. Double check, triple check. You know, you think you have it all, and it's going to be that one that you forgot to highlight and make sure it wasn't your line, or it wasn't your line if you wanted your line, or whatever. So that was.
It's really the font in Corel Draw has an outline in the fill color. So if it's all black, you really don't see what the outline is. The outline happens to be hairline.
And then for the final piece, this is something that off Amazon you can order. I tried to find it at Home Depot, and I didn't see anything that was a good price. It was like $8.35 on Amazon. But you can cut that to length. It's like something you can mount on the back of like a TV or kind of like what they use for under cabinet lighting. And it changes color and size. So that's something that we would put underneath. And I like the video. I know it's a cheapo version, but the changing color and obviously be across the whole bottom, you know, well, and really catch the kids' attention, get them excited.
And Becky and I decided, since the base didn't work, we put ours back in and we rounded the bottom corner so we could use it as plaque on the wall.
Any questions?
And then
Yeah. I was just found low key. No Google presentation. Oh, thanks. All right. Always take one. All right. So we wanted to use the laser cutter. That was our. I actually am a student at Orange High School, and I have a student who's got a case at the ThinkBox all the time. And he came and visited me when to talk about how we can take the library that I work in and make it into a makerspace. And the number one thing he told me we should have is a laser cutter. So the number one thing. So I figured, okay, if that's the number one thing, I have a student who's here all the time saying we should have a laser cutter at my experience. So, and we all seem to want that same experience with signage. And like all good things, I think it's like the whole learning process. I love that we had a designer who was able to work with us. Jay was like awesome from day one. And I think through the process, the one thing I'm taking away from this is we do not let our kids fail. Our kids are so in my school district anyways. they are so set to do all fives on their APs, they're taking all AP and honor classes, cheating is running rampant, plagiarism. I mean, it's really, it's at an all-time high because these kids want to succeed, 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 so they can go to the colleges that they want to go to. And so this is a great, I think, opportunity to let kids pursue their creative pursuits in an environment that's not threatening for a grade for them. We had the makerspace set up for them and for them to understand how to really travel themselves. So right off the bat, our inspiration was one sign, one cheap plastic thing that I saw at the cafeteria that I bought for myself that I wanted to replicate because it was plastic, and I figured, oh, I can make that better. And what we came to realize that making individual pieces that we initially in lots of conversation had, we thought, okay, well, we can interchange signs and have them on like eye rings, and we could flip them out, and we could have like different words and different times of the year we could have these different signs that we would put up. But we quickly realized that the thickness of the wood that we were using and the tools did not connect. So problem one is to figure out the tools that you have and the hardware you need to make sure you have a right fit. That was like the very first thing. But you don't get to that process until you do this, I think. And then realize, I mean, I really did feel like kind of, I'm not an engineering kind of person. So for me, this was a really good exercise in understanding the process, how the process works, and working together. Because we all had different ideas. So it was like taking each other's ideas to figure out how we really wanted to make this work. Now we started talking about, well, there's wood, there's acrylic. So then we got an acrylic sign we made. And then talking to Darren. Okay, Darren, he's like, well, you can make an acrylic sign holder. Thinking, oh, I don't know how to do that. And he created this cute little cardboard prototype for me. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to, so I drew it. And I created it and I shared it with like 4 people here now who now have these like little sign holders. But I mean, that's like the whole from concept to design to brainstorming to prototype. Yeah, that we can share with each other, and it was just the materials available here and the time to do that. And why should I have you all create this when I created the design and I could share it? But that's like business, you know, that's like how people sell stuff on Etsy for $5 a piece because they do that and somebody's created that. So we finally have a piece of board upstairs. I'll let you talk about your experience with House of Classics. We finally got a piece of wood upstairs that we figured out how can we easily connect these two, and we could screw them all in together. I don't know if we're ultimately going to do that or not. But the final step for me in the process is I started creating my own on one slab of wood, now knowing how the laser cutter really works and learning how to make it so it makes it look like a separate piece of one piece of wood. But, you know, I wouldn't have gotten to that point had I not gone through all these steps with the lovely ladies that I got put together with to understand that's really how to make it work. But you could do things differently and still get the outcome that you want.
That was one of the things we really picked up on is that there's more than one solution to any problem. It's just looking at that solution, maybe even just tweaking the solution or mixing them together and figuring out what works best for your particular project. And as Jay told us, you want to save those ideas for later because you never know what project in the future they may be just the right answer for.
Do you want to tell them about your experience? She went to House of Plastics.
Yeah, actually, Jay deserves credit for that, wherever he went to. He mentioned House of Plastics here in town. It's on 40th and Prospect. They have a lot of their scrap acrylic that they sell for $1 a pound. So we had stopped to pick up some of their acrylic. So if anybody's interested in coming back, House of Plastics, let's go for acrylic.
Yeah, the one thing I think I want to come back. I live close enough by that I can come back. I want to finish my work piece for myself. But like now, I want to learn how to use a 3D printer. Like now, I feel like I really understand the laser cutter and the laser printer. But now I want to I see how this can evolve and grow and how you can get like I could just see students like okay, make something like this yourselves. And how that can evolve and grow for them in that process and wanting them to get creative because I do believe we still have the opportunity to be creative.
And even within the project, like I did this, I mixed the fonts, and then I decided I wanted
I wanted to change how deeply it was like etched into the wood in order to kind of like imagine, change it up a bit. So it's hard to tell. I might have to exaggerate it again more if I did it. But this is one setting, and then this is lighter, and it gets darker as it goes down, and it actually etches in deeper. So that was kind of one of the things I was playing with, was just to see like the etching depth and what effect that had on the wood.
One thing about our project is, even though if we were to put all of these words together and make one piece of art, which was the original goal, each of us was able to learn the process and not just have it done once and done. So we were all able to learn to use the equipment, to use the software to some degree. I was the most neediest of the group, and so I thank the helpers immensely, but I successfully, by myself, printed out something before I came down here. So I appreciate it, and it can happen. If you, like any craft store has self-stick hangers, put one on here, it's got like a triangle, and then you can use a hook at the top, put another one facing the other direction, you can use a hook at the bottom and just a little chain in between, and that would be a solution to being able to hook them together without having to drill into the bottom. So, just my 2 cents. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
We also discussed kind of in between that we noticed it was nice to have other people from other groups kind of come back and talk about our project again, because you got all sorts of suggestions you may have dismissed earlier or weren't really thinking about. So it was nice to get more than one perspective.
Yes.
Another comment I'll make regarding another perspective. So our suggestion to if you want to have multiple hanging ones, if you use a thicker piece of wood or get a couple pieces and stick them together, then you can actually like screw the eye hooks into the bottom if you want more of a hanging freeform sign versus the thin stuff here. So yeah, like there's multiple perspectives, multiple solutions. So
one of the things that Joanna mentioned to me earlier was that it would be very nice if each of you would send your designs to us so that we could post them onto the website. Then everyone would have the benefit of having the design for the wood shapes and for the acrylic shapes and for all the other things that you've done. And so if you do that, if you send it to Jeff.
I've got, if you guys check the web page, you'll see day 3, and there's going to be an offset. It'll say final presentations. There is listed but the email address for my Google account. If you would send me, if you did a presentation, send me your presentation. If you've got your designs, and I'm going to spend some time. I go on vacation Monday, but I'll get it done before then. Creating a folder that we can house the designs in that you'll be able to get to from the web page. You're going to be able to get to the presentations. You're going to be able to watch this video of your presentations. So I want to, but I get people confused because it's jeffreypgood@gmail.com instead of my work account. So it's on day 3, final presentations, and you'll see my email address, my Gmail account.
And it's the other Jeffrey, right?
The ERY, Jeffrey.
Yeah, be careful about that too. So, who's next? Who's next?
Okay.
Yay.
That'd be great, yeah. Yeah, because I'll just have things, so everyone's got.
But Erica did a really nice job. I know she's not here today, but she deserves a lot of credit. Kind of guiding us through the design process. She took notes for us. She gave us great places to look, and I know even just talking with some of the other groups, Pinterest is a great place to, if you have no idea at all. Like we knew we kind of wanted to do a maze box. We started with the idea out of wood. And we weren't quite sure how we were going to be able to do that. We needed other parts like springs and other hardware. So then we, I think you were on Pinterest and found the mystery box. So it was just nice to get on these different websites up here and go ahead and just get an idea that we can kind of morph and mold to our own idea.
We had started off kind of
And it's part of a bigger laser cutter group, and kind of that became like our own started right here to kind of be a project as opposed to assignment. And I think our problem that like the first thing we struggled with was trying to come up with an idea. I mean, we all like had things we wanted to make, but how do we find all those ideas? And again, Erica was amazing in set me and saying, okay, so here's the design process, and here's how this session takes to go through something like this. And one of the things that I had said to her was that, you know, I try to teach the kids that I have the design process, and it's so hard to get them to understand how important that first, you know, really know what the project is, what the problem is, what do you really want to do, and brainstorm different things that you want to do with that. And we spent a lot of time with that, just looking for different ideas and things that other people had already made. And because so many times I think our kids would like to do that. Oh, I saw this, I want to do that too. But looking to see it, and she wrote down, you know, so what did they do and what problems did they have? And I think made us look at that and say, oh, you don't have this, or how would we do that? Or you have to have this little metal ball thing to make it go through the maze. And so we just came up with a lot of different questions that otherwise I don't think we would have thought through. We would have created, I think, a lot of failure, a lot of frustration for us. But once we got, you know, we decided on the mystery box, and then what Erica had said was, you know, we got to choose, you know, Corel or Illustrator, and getting in there. And do you use either of those? The three of us, none of us had used either of those, and so really jumped in and have her there to take us through kind of learn through how to design something, and then, you know, be able to save it and take it up to edit, which is I had never used a laser cutter before. I know Darren had some experience with it, and that was great because he was a great resource to have in our group. I even know in my personal project, I asked you a million times your questions. So.
One of the things that happened in our research was, well, in your search you include laser cutting or something of that nature to come up with results. The one that we settled on the first that was going to be a little maze box, even though it was on Pinterest, it linked to Instructables, which is a subscription service. So I went, oh, I'll go ahead and sign up for that. And then we opened it up, and then the links for the patterns to download were dead. So we wanted to make that, but we couldn't. So that's when we decided to go with this box, which was a little puzzle box. And then even with this, even though it kind of came out, it has these little keys that are supposed to kind of hold it together. But the keys are loose, so they would need to be redesigned. But after I kind of made it, I was looking back at the website for the instructions and how to put it together, and there wasn't any instructions there. And then I noticed it was posted in 2009, and it only had like 6 comments, and no one had made one. So kind of reading some of the comments sometimes on some of those things would be really good. Kind of the gold nugget in the whole thing with Erica and the other students who know this is the MakerCase website, which is really awesome. With MakerCase, you can put in dimensions of a box that you want, and it will lay out all the finger joints for you. You can put holes in it, you can put lettering in it, and stuff of that nature. You can even define whether your measurements are for the inside of the box or the outside of the box, depending on which is your critical measurement. So I kind of took that and ran with it, and used it in yours as well. It's a little bit limiting in the fact that it wants to make all the pieces. You can't tell it not to make a pop or something of that nature. So I did the second one today. And this one I did on Illustrator, and then this one I tried to do in Corel just to have the experience with it. But in this one, in Corel, we went through and we cut off the top of the finger joints and the front and make that box a little bit different. And I kind of gravitated that because as I was looking around the makerspace, I kept seeing all these boxes that were made in the makerspace. And I was going, well, that might be a great introductory project for my students. I give students, you know, a dozen glue sticks. your group, you got to make a container for the glue sticks. You guys make a container for the scissors, and that's the project that they might do to learn the process, the design process. There's the volume. There's something of that nature. Kind of go with it from there. So that website, MakeIT, was really great. And she also showed us one that we didn't use. It's a gear maker. Does the same thing, but it makes gears. So if you need gears for either signage, with different words on it, you can do that.
I know to make the case, I had the puzzles, the word puzzles for my personal project, but I didn't make my case large enough. So it was a learning process for me, just messing with the dimensions and then having it generated. And I cut the tops off as well, so it was a flat, it was an open box. I really like the process of the facility case.
Okay, who's next?
We are.
Maybe.
How many programs do we have? Number one. One left? Two. You know, it starts with just.
We have just two. All right, so I've never felt more. No,
I'm
she
gonna
gets
be
talking.
Vanna. I'll show it.
Never felt more old school in my life than, everybody's designing on their laptops and I'm good old, I'm an art teacher, if that puts any perspective. I have to sketch it out first. But what we did is we had decided by grouping we were the vinyl cutter. So immediately as looking at all the projects that were posted there, the first thing that came to mind, what do we do with a vinyl cutter? We're going to make signs. So in the concept of makerspace, we decided we would figure out some different ways to make signs and to make things that we would use once we've established our space. A sign for the room to identify the makerspace. Something to decorate and to embellish the room itself, space itself. So we cut some words out, which I'll let Dolores tell you about. She took care of that while I was tell you about the process.
Did you put that back up? What back up?
First thing we did was we decided we needed a logo. We wanted to come up with something that we could use throughout the process. So we came up with the idea of maker. Now her sign says maker. I thought more conducive to my art room would be something that says make, because we make all the time. So this is what when I saw this, I thought this is just an awesome concept, and I really have to put kudos to you guys here at ThinkBox. This is the most amazing space ever. For me, it was like a kid in a candy store. Barb can tell you my first day. Reading all the pre-requirements, we had to go through and read all the tutorials, and it said, read all the tutorials, and there will not be time to do this. And I actually had kind of a little mini panic attack thinking, are you serious? I just read a 7-page tutorial or manual that I could not even tell you what I read or what to do with it because I'm a visual person. I needed to see it. So I emailed her. She said, any questions? Oh, I had questions. I emailed and said, I have never felt more uneducated and unprepared for anything in my life. Maybe this wasn't such a good idea. And she's like, don't worry, just come and you'll have fun. Fun does not even begin to describe it. This has been an amazing experience. The student helpers, Brian, I think is still upstairs, was amazingly patient. Because one of the things I found, it was a big epiphany for me in doing this process and going from, we had our design, and then I sketched it out. And then we printed it to the size we wanted it, so I could mock up all of the letters. Okay, that to me was the easy part. Going upstairs then and converting it into Corel Draw, which I've never used. So it was the start of the learning curve for me. Sitting through that process and watching him go, and you just go here, and you do this, and you do this, and I'm like, okay, sure. And then he'd walk away, and I'd be like, it was somewhere over here, and I did something with this, and I truly got an appreciation for those of you, I don't know how many of you are teachers or media specialists. As a teacher, I got a true appreciation for how my students think when they go through, when I provide them with information
because I also do digital photography in my homeschool, and when we work with Photoshop, sometimes things that seem easy to me because I've done them so many times, it really, it really made me step back and go, oh my gosh, this is how my kids feel. And so learning, besides learning how to use all the great equipment here, learning how to rethink the way I'm presenting students with the information and hearing all of you talk, and it has just been an amazing experience. But yeah, the Corel was a whole, that was a learning curve, but we made it through. Finally, we ended up with selecting the materials that we wanted to use. We tried the laser mats and set it all up. We did learn the difference between the two is we did learn there's a shield of plastic on the laser mats, which we couldn't find anywhere that said remove it. It said leave it on when you cut it and when you do this and when you do this and when you do this. So we thought, you leave it on? Not so much. So mine is a little lighter blue, but that's okay. I'm thrilled to death at how it turned out. I will tell you though, if you ever accidentally do that, the ladies that were standing up there with me will tell you it gives off a stench like you would not believe that. The burning plastic. I mean, I was walking around and literally I felt like I was leaving a little vapor trail of this stinky plastic smell. But overall, I'm really pleased with it. And Dolores, while I was cutting that, one of the other projects we decided to do was some decor kind of. How do you make the space? Morgan, it's not just good enough to have a space. You have to make it inviting and workable, and like with this fun and funky furniture, which I absolutely love. We decided to come up with some words that we're going to use that we cut for the wall, or for the for a doorway or wall.
But can't see the words, but some of the words I stole from the website. In fact, all of them. I hope you don't mind. Makerspace, ideator, creator, thinker, collaborator, designer, innovator, 12 words. Okay? But you can't see them, unfortunately, because the process that we used was vinyl, and you take, what's the tape called? It's really very expensive masking tape of some sort. That's this tape. But this transfer tape, and this down here is a clear transfer tape. Ran out of this, so I had to start using this. Very difficult to unwind. And this one I had a problem with. I had to figure out what direction. Left, right, what to do. See all the, this was where I was learning, and you see I got better. See how I got better? And this roll was one of the smaller rolls. I had to stick my whole arm through it and pull it down. I had to have my whole arm to make it, two runs. But this was a run, a run, a run, a run, a run. I figured out between this point and that point, I better pull from left to right instead of right to left. It works better that way because I'm a right-handed person. I can guide it. So what we're going to do is cut them and find the spot. I want to use mine as borders. They're just block letters, so all the kids can understand and see and put the words together. We want to use them as borders around our makerspace. And if I never get a makerspace, they're going up anyway. As inspiration to their daily work. I didn't thank the people that helped. Thank you very much.
Laser mat?
So that material is called laser mat?
It's called, that's what, when I bought it,
What's it made out of?
Two different layers. It's like a plastic.
it comes in, I guess it comes in other colors.
Yeah, there's all sorts of different colors. We actually have a catalog upstairs. You can get so many different colors. That one is white and blue. There's stuff where you can have a white front and red show through. There's black and red.
Yeah, the laser cutter. Yeah.
I don't know how to make it, but that's just used on the laser cutter. Basically, there's a thin color layer on top that's when you etch through it, it just gets rid of that layer, and that's why Because if you actually look, the bottom side
Starts
blue,
out
so the
like
majority of that plastic is blue. And there's just a thin layer of square on top to get the contrast.
That's a reverse image? Is that a reverse image on the sign?
I think
You have to do a negative?
overachiever.
It just etched. Started over here and moved over here.
It wasn't all blue.
No. It's black and
Black is blue, but white's on top. It's like the laser gets rid of the white on top.
They made all those safety signs and machine signs with this upstairs. Oh, that was spit.
The laser cutters.
This is something else. With the overlay.
Yeah, the plastic is, it's colored plastic with like almost like a layer of paint or something.
Oh, that's white. Can you see it? Right. Yeah, take that off.
It's just a thin layer of clear tape, basically.
You want to take this side off before you?
Yeah, if you're gonna etch it, take that off first. And then there's gonna be a little bit of powder on it, so you can just run it under water and then a paper towel or a super soft brush or whatever to get the extra film away to make it. That's why the Lord's signs were all wet and clean them up a little bit.
And this was the original, what we learned on. If you see right here, I think the machine had a heart attack because we had that paper on it, and it jumped and went off track, and the whole thing was dead right here. But I don't throw away anything, so I'm gonna get a magic marker and fill it in and fix it up and use it. Thank you. Thank you.
Alright. So we called our flex desk in the last 20 minutes. We decided on that. So, shut up all this auto load. Okay, there we go. Okay. Alright, so this is our first part of the process. We started with like the problem, I guess, right? We had several ideas. So Betsy and I wanted to do some sort of marquee sign. Somebody mentioned like a laptop desk, right? Marcus wanted a laptop desk maybe that folded and went into a backpack or something. Somebody else mentioned like we liked this table, we like the little poles that have the laptop, we like the height of that, a standing desk sort of idea. And so we were trying to combine all that into one piece. And so we thought adjustable desk or podium. And so our first thing though had sliders, so we were going to have it slide up and down and have like wing nuts that you could screw in. And then we thought about, well, so then that was this drawing here where we were sliding it. We wanted it to pivot so you could have multiple angles, so that was an idea. And then, does anybody remember how we got to the ratchet step? Not sure where that came in, but we scrapped the slider idea, I think mainly because we were worried it would be kind of like this when you adjusted it, and we were trying to keep it fixed points. So we were thinking about like a pinning system, and then we got to ladder rungs, and then that's where that got, right? And then we sort of threw in we thought we better prototype. So we cut everything out of cardboard, and that's our cardboard model. Pretty close to the finished piece, I guess. Slightly more flexible. And then, luckily, Corel, because none of us except for Noah were proficient in that, so he mapped out all of our pieces. Noah was a huge resource along that, and then we went into the CNC router room, which was hours and hours later. Noah threw it into okay, yeah, Partworks, which made it this whole 3D thing and laid it out all on one sheet of wood, so we could sort of try to get it all on one sheet. And the setup of that took multiple hours. You can see those. We'll get into his workers there.
No,
Are we doing all right?
the TAs are a huge help. Thank you to all of them, John and Alex, Jay, and everybody. Just the access to tools that we never would have been able to use, and kind of learning together on some of the pieces of it is an incredible kind of tour de force. So Noah was our huge kind of woodshop advisor on, especially a lot of the tooling, and certainly just kind of some of the mindset of working in that 3D space. I've worked in 3D printers 3 or 4 years, but this material that lays in a 2-dimension but then assembles as an assembly in 3 is a bit of a stretch for us.
Having really quick answers was helpful. Like, here's what we want to do. Is that gonna work? Nope. Okay. All right. We'll try something different. So, and then we wanted to build a small prototype to make sure before we cut into that giant piece of wood, and we didn't have time. So we were like, okay, let's just like go for it. We're cutting. You guys are ready to see it right after spending hours on the computer. So we cut, and our slots didn't match. It was like this, and our holes were out here. So
initially our stringers were too narrow here, so these pieces actually, when it connected.
So we had a flaw in our measurements, basically a little bit there.
The stringer here is actually a piece for strength to hold it together. And these pieces we didn't correct. And so when we went through the whole cutout, they were 2 inches short. So we went to dry fit it. It was, here, a little too short. So
originally we talked about redoing this piece, and then they're like, no, we do that.
And I think that was at about 2:20. So we were short on time on that. And okay, so then the assembly process, you can kind of see sanding and fitting and screwing and drilling and all that good stuff in that part in the wood shop. And here it is on top of the table, going together final pieces. And then we did have a side project that we worked on too. We were spitballing ideas because Erica took us down to the plexiglass, extravaganza, and so we were like, we have to build something with this. And so that's where we started thinking about. When we did our design process, there were boards hanging, whiteboards, little ones, and we graphed it off and we were writing on it. And our designs were all upside down and every which way, and we really liked that. So then we thought, okay, well, we'll make one of those. We could use this for a whiteboard, and then we were playing around with the thing outside the box idea, and we were trying out how, have you ever played those games where there's a box and there's words inside, and you have to puzzle out what the words mean in relationship to the box? So, like reading between the lines, they don't have the word reading with the lines. So we did think outside, and then the whole thing is fun.
it's a dry erase surface, right? So the kids would enjoy it. They could have a lap desk, ideate.
We had a few blunders along the way. That was a giant thick piece of plastic acrylic. Yeah, I'm saying
The same thing.
Okay. Yeah, and when the laser started cutting, the piece that we were cutting out lifted up and hit the laser, and the laser started frying the whole piece. And
This is what we call a teachable moment.
gnarly mess of plastic, so that didn't work, but the rest did. So.
We did want one last thing. We did have another learning from this morning, and the best thing we learned this morning was schmooze. So, in celebration of your retirement, we wanted to present to you.
Thank you so much. I am going to treasure this, believe me. Very good.
Questions? Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a rough prototype. There's still a lot of improvements to it, but I think, in the true maker form, it would be great to just put it out there and share, right? But I think we'd like to go to 467 later. Yeah. Do a little bit of IP. Yeah.
How did you get I saw you, when you're back here, okay.
It's just, this is just double-sided tape. Yeah, we thought, we're actually, the thick piece that bubbled up was a half-inch piece we wanted to do at the top. We had cut the wood just as a backup in case. It's a good thing because when the laser cut these pieces, that's when it bubbled up and everything else. So we just had the wood piece and then double stuck the That's it.
You know, I'm thinking, and it kind of goes together, like cut out like that. What if you did like two little wood things, and so that's the top of that, so then it can also be
It's a
moved.
removable desk surface, yeah. Absolutely.
I knew that was, I thought that was the same.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, exactly. That was one of the pieces we didn't mention. Very good. Like a little pencil rail or something so you can find out.
Yes, she wants to cut.
We had lots of ideas, a cup holder, all types of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, we got that one too, all right?
The little mouse,
Phone charger.
Nice
Good.
job. Thank you. One of those have our name badge challenge. So with those of you who have made name badges, please come up here. And we're just going to do this on a scale of clapping. So come up here really quick.
I know, I don't want to go up. We've laser cut it. Oh, yesterday?
Maybe when I see one of those again, so.
Move up as close as you can to the audience, so each of them can see what it is. Come on up here.
It's the first time
Come on
I've
here. Okay. So, take a good look before we start applauding.
I'm not taking mine off.
Man,
This
this
was
is,
a
uh,
3D. Kangaroo jumps out at you. Betsy is very clever. And Darren, you've seen his. It's the lighted computer disc. What's yours? Yes, Scrabble tile.
Learn from the guy, with the toolkit, Band-Aids and things like that.
There you go. What
Sewing
else?
kit, you know.
Sticks. Awesome.
And Noah's got something he made right in his makerspace, right? Okay. All right, and I missed something. Okay, all right. I'm going to start at this end, and I'll hold my hand over, and you clap, and Jeff is...
Yeah.
Everybody cover your
Yeah,
eyes.
let's go.
Jeff is going to be the meter.
I'm the meter.
The meter, okay? All right, here we go. Jeff, do you have anything that you want to say as we close?
Couple things. Just, Barb's mentioned it, and this web page that we have is going to become very organic. I'm going to add some more things between now and when I hit the road on whenever that is, Saturday, I think.
He's going to the beach.
Somewhere. We do have the evaluation, and it's really important for a mix of a lot. I'm going to stand up front here. For a mix of a lot of people. Malcolm had asked us to add some questions about the space, and so that's going to be important, and be honest. We're asking questions about the program itself. This is our first year of doing this, and the collaboration with ThinkBox has been outstanding. So please take an opportunity to look at all the questions. I also ask another question, and I tried to find a way to word it, and it was about 2 in the morning that it came to me, and then by 3, when I fell back asleep, I lost it. But what we need when we talk to the Jennings grant, the evaluators afterwards, it's great that we had 25, 26, it was morphing every day, 25, 26, 27 teachers involved. But what really counts is how many students are affected. So there's a question in there I ask you, how many students do you directly instruct for next school year? So answer that honestly. If it's, you know, if you've got 6 classes of 30, not great with math, I'm leaving my shoes on, but I'm at about 180. Yes, 180. So just add those numbers, you know, you think about it. I mean, you don't have to be real exact, but it really gives us an idea of the effect that we're having down to the student level. That's really where we came from on that. I'm trying to think what else I wanted to make sure. I've been posting photos on there. I've been putting the photo albums on this section here under day 3, and you do pull out. It's going to do final presentations, and my Gmail account is on there. So please send me your design plans, your presentations, anything that you want to send me, and I'm going to load them up in a digital file cabinet for folks to access after the fact. Okay? That it? All right.
Well, we invited Dr. Malcolm Cook to come and greet us when we got here, and we thought it was only fitting that he sends us home. So I'm going to ask.
Get out of here.
Yeah. We had enough.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I'm absolutely amazed at what you've accomplished over the last 3 days. It probably seems like a week for you, but that's fantastic. And there are great things about every one of those projects. And I think the fact that for a lot of you, this has been your very first experience of using software and hardware equipment, and I hope it's just, you know, got rid of like the EBGBs. You know, I daren't touch it. If I touch it, I'll break it, and if I break it, then I'm in trouble. So I hope you've all got over that hurdle. But all this stuff, all what you've been doing is fun and is available to everybody. You know, we're open to the community. We see a whole range of people that come and use our space, from middle schoolers, even younger than that, right through to, you know, the more mature students, shall we say. And so it is for everybody. Access is important. And I've heard a few things from you regarding the sort of constrictions and constraints that students are under their normal sort of curriculum activities. And as you develop your maker spaces, then I hope a lot of those spaces will be available outside of the normal school periods, when, you know, they can use it in their own time for extracurricular, because that's probably when they'll have the most fun, because of the lack of constraint. So I think it's fantastic that you've been here. Our website, and I'm sure people have told you about it, our TAs are awesome. Our website is very extensive. Anything on that website is in the public domain. So we've had lots of schools and lots of universities download our tutorials, whether they've got the same equipment or not, and just made changes if they need to. So don't reinvent the wheel. So if there's something up there that you think is going to be useful, download it and use it. And keep in touch. I mean, I would just love to hear the stories of what you do when you get back to school. Because I'm sure you're all energized, and this summer's going to be a busy summer for you as you develop stuff for the coming school year. I've got a whole bunch of business cards here, so take one if you want. My email address is on there, the website's on there. and you're welcome here at any time. I hope to see a lot of you that live close enough anyway. We have students come up from Kent State University, so even if you live down there, that's not an excuse not to come and see. So, travel's fantastic to have you, and I hope to see you soon.
If anybody wants my card, then
It's okay, I want to make a quick remark to you guys before everyone heads out. I just want to say thank all of you guys for coming. It was great working with you all week. I was really impressed with the way you guys learned and grew throughout the week, from starting at the beginning when you guys were all kind of trying to figure things out, but as you learned and had fun, really starting to smile and enjoy yourselves using all the machines in the process. I just want to say I really enjoyed working with you all, and hopefully we'll see some of you guys next year and we'll be hosted again.